Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Alton Board of Selectmen's meeting, May 12th, 2026. It is 6 o'clock. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. We have a few changes to the agenda this evening.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if the board so wants to, under old business, add in Hidden Springs Road Town Hall roof bid and Roberts Cove Bridge bid under old business. Those are items that were discussed last meeting when I wasn't able to attend, and I just would like to carry them over to answer any questions that the board has.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I wonder if I could add an item under new business, just a brief discussion and the board's impressions on the deliberative session of May 5th.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else from anyone? I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended this evening.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The public participation policy applies to all selectmen meetings. A copy of this is in the back of each agenda, posted outside this meeting room and on our website. The town of Alton is holding a special voting day on June 6th, 2026, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Prospect Mountain High School, 242 Suncook Valley Road, Alton, New Hampshire. Public input for agenda items only.
Good evening, Kelly Sullivan.
Good evening.
I know that AYL is here to present for themselves, but as a sitting member of the Parks and Rec Commission, I just wanted to say how impressed I was with their choice of what they're doing for upgrades down at the field. They really put some thought and effort into it. It's quite substantial, and we're very appreciative, and I just wanted to make that known, so thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, we'll close out the public input. No appointments this evening?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, right into new business, cemetery department, Old Riverside repairs. Seth?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Alrighty, so as winter slowly left us, Becky had noticed a couple of the headstones in the Old Riverside had been toppled by what appeared to be frost, water, ice, picking them up and overturning them. A couple of those sites, one of the sites had perpetual care, and the other one did not. So we were looking to ask to see if we could use the cemetery trust, cemetery expendable trust, for a portion of the repairs to the headstones. She did reach out to Granite State Monument. They have quoted us a price of $700 to fix both headstones again. One of them will be perpetual care, one of them isn't. The grounds and maintenance staff has already fixed the bases of them, so they're just coming to reassemble the stones. They are multi-piece stones that need to be re-epoxied back together. They're not broken, luckily, they're just separated to pieces. And the second portion of that is actually for New Riverside. One of the pillars, as you pull into the cemetery, at some point in time had been struck. It was repaired somewhere along the way, and that mortar is falling out, and a lot of the stones are loose and allowing more water to get in there and freeze and crack it further. So we reached out to Ethan from Ridgeline Construction. He came over and gave us a quote of $1,500 to dismantle that pillar and restack it and point it and everything else and make it match the rest of them.
Okay.
And again, so the ask for that would be to come from that same cemetery expendable trust, account 934. And going back to Old Riverside, there's a couple of the larger monuments, like the 10, 13 feet tall ones, that the bases are starting to be exposed and get eroded. And so asking to pull in some quotes for those, and thoughts are to use the same cemetery expendable trust to fix those, but we'd like to get quotes on those. That's gonna be more of a costly repair on those, just given their size.
Okay, so you're looking for the 1,500
Yep, for New Riverside for
on the
the,
new Riverside stone pillar,
yep,
and 1,850 for the cemetery, for the stones, for the headstones.
no,
No?
no.
700.
700, okay.
Half of that, really, 350. 'cause
half of
one-
that, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
one of the stones is gonna be covered. The other one is gonna have to come from there, yeah, sorry. So 350 for repair of the stones, and then up to 1850 for the repair of the pillar in case there's some,
Okay.
any, costs a little more than that, you know.
And the expendable trust has got more than adequate funds to cover
It does, yeah, I actually just had Laura check it before I came in, and it has a balance of 53,000.
Just by any chance, these stones, I'm looking at the picture of the stones, that it looks like they pretty much toppled over.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
rule out the fact that nobody tampered with them?
Yeah, it
or
doesn't.
Kicked
doesn't-
them or anything?
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be vandalism. If looking at the bases, they were pretty well eroded, and it looked like ice and water got underneath them this winter and just picked them up enough to topple them
To
over.
topple 'em over.
Yeah. None of them were broken. They're multi-piece stones, and when they fell, they came apart. They're not broken. They just need to be re-epoxied.
Any other questions?
No, I think it'd look good having that.
Okay, does somebody entertain a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize the Public Works Director to engage the contractors listed in his letter for the purpose of repairing damaged stones and cracked masonry at both cemeteries for the total amount of, get me if I'm wrong on this one, right, $1,850?
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, Parks and Recreation, Alton Garden Club donation. Good evening.
Good evening. This is a joint effort. I'm Jill Hauser.
Kelly Trendle, Parks and Recreation.
Kelly.
So the Alton Garden Club received a donation from Ginny Douglas's granddaughter, who's been following the progress and continues to donate annually. And we are almost done with major planting there. This will be enough to cover 2 more azaleas that will go around Cedric the cedar, who you may or may not know personally. But this will complete pretty much the major planting that needs to be done at Ginny Douglas. So I have a check here to cover the cost of those 2 azaleas. And Kelly has been managing the purchase order for those.
Yes. So the reason that it goes through the town is to get the wholesale price. So that's why the town is involved. So this check would be deposited into the Recreation Revolving Fund, and then the bill would be paid out of those monies.
Okay, very good.
Any further, any questions?
No.
Okay, we plan to purchase those shrubs on Thursday, and unless it's raining like crazy, we'll have them in the ground Thursday evening. So, thank you.
All right, we need to make a motion.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to
Okay.
approve or accept the donation of $132 for the purchase of the 2 azaleas at the Ginny Douglas Park.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll give it to,
Yeah, just gotta go
Go
through
that way.
It's gotta go through the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Alton Youth League, request for public hearing donation.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Christy Wood. I am the Alton Youth League treasurer. The Alton Youth League is proud to bring a project before you that has been in the works for quite some time, taken many hours of planning and fundraising, and one that will continue to bring pride to our small town. Over 30 years ago, a committed group of volunteers raised the money for and built a wooden fence replica of the famed green monster of Fenway Park here at Jones Field. Since then, kids have aspired to hit one over the green monster and out of the park. We've had a couple successful kids do that, but unfortunately time and environmental exposure has taken its toll on the fence. Rather than opt for a chain link fence replacement, it was important to the Alton Youth League to keep the spirit of the original green monster replica alive and keep our ball field unique for locals and visitors alike. In your packet, we have included the fence system that we feel replicates the solid wall the best. This is the champion wall. It's our choice because of the 50-year lifespan on material, a 5-year limited warranty, the ease of panel maintenance and replacement, the iconic green color, and the company also provides everything from fabrication through delivery to installation. We did run into some problems finding contractors that could install similar systems. This is the entire package. The Champion Wall system alone runs 150 feet from left field foul line towards the center field. The cost for that is $66,307.56. We're also looking to conduct a geotechnical survey to ensure that all the footings and the ground will be, this will be solid. We are contracting hopefully with Terracon out of Manchester. They've given us a reduced price of $6,700 for that. And then we'll also need to conduct private utility locating for the underground utility line that runs from the snack shack out to the batting cage. It is within the realm of the fence, so that's another $400. So the total project cost is $73,407.56. So the Alton Youth League has fundraised and scraped every penny together to make that happen with your blessing. And then also we are requesting some assistance from a couple of the departments, like the water department, to open access to the Jones Field access road. Time to be determined. It would depend on when we would get the survey company out to do the boring test pits. But we would be mindful of the 4-day work week for the town. It would just be one day. We could plan it for when the water department is working. And we're also requesting the DPW to assist with demolishing and removing the 150 feet length of wood wall starting October 12th. That would be the completion of our fall ball down at the field. So it would push everything out to later this fall for demo and install. So we would probably shoot to have the installation done at the end of October, early November. Any questions?
Pretty well thought out.
I'm sure everybody is very impressed with the fundraising capabilities and the generosity, obviously, of the people involved in this program. I would only ask that whoever hit the balls over the fence, would you please send them down to Boston?
Okay.
And see if they can help out.
They need a little help.
Keith, you have no issues with the wall removal or disposal?
No, so just removal of the wall and putting the existing posts?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's doable. We can use the roll-off truck and
Yeah.
bring a dumpster down there and
Okay.
utilize it that way. We
That's
can-
why I wanted to ask you, see if you would have any issue with doing that.
Yeah, no, I think that's
You have
something that
the
we can
time.
do, especially in October timeframe.
Yeah.
Should be good, yeah.
We do have some, so it's an 8-foot-high wall. We do have a 75-foot section that is a 4-foot chain link fence above it to help catch the balls that do go over, to protect the softball players on the other side.
Yep.
That we could possibly keep intact or remove safely enough that we can put that back up
Yeah.
in time. But yeah, the wood can go. We can have a big old bonfire.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's doable. We can take the chain link off the top with
Okay.
the bucket truck if we have to, and some areas we can reach, we can get it off, and then the wall itself, we can cut up into sections and put in a dumpster.
Okay,
I think it's doable.
thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Okay,
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
all I need
yes.
is the board's authority to move forward with a public hearing, because we have to schedule this for a public hearing and post it appropriately, and, so,
I would say yes, you don't need a vote on that, but a general consensus.
just a consensus of the board to put it out for a public hearing?
I would say move forward for a public hearing.
Absolutely, yes.
I have no issue with that.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you in
Thank you.
2 weeks.
Good work.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Very well organized. Thank you. Okay, Winnipesaukee Pet Company LLC Retail Table Wine License Request. Which is pretty typical.
Yeah, so, pardon my ignorance, but what is a retail table wine license? Does that mean they're not serving wine, but they're gonna sell bottles of wine, or?
On a table display. It's not like a pouring establishment, like a bar.
Yeah,
It's more
it's
retail sale.
Retail sale.
Okay.
Are they tasting?
Not that I'm aware of. but
Tasting it
I've
or
I've
anything
never
like
been
that?
invited, so. But,
I'm just curious.
not that I'm aware of. I
If
think
it's just the sale of.
I think it's
just
the
sale of
retail
it.
sale.
Yep. I didn't know if they were sampling wine, and all that. I see no issue.
yeah.
Any
I
questions or
I
anything?
certainly don't have an issue with it.
Oh, seems pretty straight. I can't imagine any issues with this other than volunteering to sample.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the request from the Liquor Commission for the Winnipesaukee Pet Company LLC for retail table wine.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, tax collector, town clerk, warrant for 2026, period 1.
Good evening. So it's pretty straightforward. It's the first installment that I have to do by statute, and it's an estimated tax from last year. So I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay.
Do we do this every year? I don't remember this.
We do.
Yes, we do.
Yep. The warrant has to be in the tax collector's hand by the 15th, so today is our board meeting.
All right. I don't see any controversy, right? This
I
is pretty
know.
much-
No, you're good. I mean, I don't want to have to do it, but it's part of my requirements.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. Make a motion?
I'll take a stab at it. I'll make a motion to approve the warrant for the 2026 period 1 taxes.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay,
That
thank
was
you.
easy.
Thank you.
Go get 'em.
Okay. Okay, and Richard, deliberative session.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to, I guess you could say, kind of poll the board and see what the reaction was to the deliberative session on the 5th in terms of anything that we heard that we should put more emphasis into or pay particular attention to. I was pleased that we had, and I'm not good at counting, but over 70 members of the public that
what I
that arrived and contributed. And I think generally, the reaction of the public was positive. I was particularly impressed with, and I don't know if we can use it in some manner, but the comments that Cindy Shapley made concerning our average tax increase over the last 10 years, which I think is quite remarkable. And I hope we make the public well aware of that, because it speaks well of how the town staff has managed public funds. And then beyond that, I don't know if you gentlemen have any other input or comments that you think we ought to emphasize or discuss.
No, I think you pretty much covered it.
It was nice, it was nice to see the people.
Yeah, the
It was
common
good
theme
to
that
see.
I got out of this was educating the public, that we are failing at educating the general public and understanding how this whole tax thing works. And I think that, we owe a lot of thanks to Jack Sleeper for doing some publicizing of how it's done and what the process is to kind of make people understand a little bit better. But I think as a board, we need to do better in the future on this as well.
If we can, yeah, and try to put the word out there and more what each warrant article is, what the budget means, what it's for, how it's expended. It needs to be, I thought we were doing everything we could, but apparently there's a lot of questions, so we need to improve.
I think that it's really tough the way it's worded on the warrant article for people to understand that we're not appropriating the entire amount, we're just appropriating that difference, and that's why it's a big scary number of 453,000. But the actual difference that we're raising is only 422,000, so it's that 19 cents per thousand.
Right.
Yeah, and we are somewhat bound legally in how we can
Yeah.
write those. But
Right.
maybe with a little more consultation with our town attorney, we can add some information there,
Yeah.
cover what's required by law, and then a little bit more.
Yeah. And do what we can to put it out there. All right, anything else, Richard?
No, except it sounds good when we say put it out there. That's not that easy to do.
No, it's not.
It's a son of a gun. I would like to see us have a situation maybe on the town website where you could just read a plain, straightforward explanation. I have a feeling that state laws wouldn't let you do that without requiring all kinds of complex curveballs that confuse people. But I think we ought to try, and I agree that Jack's, I think it was just a posting
Just a
on Facebook.
community
but,
board post.
It made things a lot clearer than all the legalese that you normally have to go through. But if there is some way that we can just put one thing on the town website that says, here's what the tax is
That's
all
just it.
about.
The town website, 100 years ago, everybody either came to meetings or they read the paper.
Yep.
Today, we have a lot more options. We have we have the websites. We have paper, we have town hall to come in and come to the meetings. So there's mailings that have gone out. So it is very difficult. The only thing with Facebook, not everybody has Facebook.
True.
Not everybody's on Facebook.
Yep.
So we're covering more and more avenues, but I still have to enforce more and more people need to come to the meetings. And I was impressed to see how many people did come to the deliberative session, and come into that, and I think maybe we need to describe and make people understand what the deliberative is for a little bit more, and what it entails, and what it's for, and why it's important to go to those, and go to that meeting. I think if we emphasize on that a little bit more, I think that'll help a lot, when it comes time for actual vote, and get as many people out there as possible. So if there's any advertisement or anything like that, that's what it should be. Come to the deliberative, come to the meetings, and get that information, because we can provide a lot of information, but it's still ultimately up to each and every resident taxpayer to do their due diligence in getting the information as well, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Okay. Hidden Springs. For those of you who are following Hidden Springs and the property, we have reached at this point, and it's prudent to seek town council. And we're gonna, on this matter, to continue in talking with town council. So Ty and Bond or Boggs will not be here at this meeting, not until we actually sit down and talk with town council at this time. Anything else?
So just so I'm clear on that, we're not talking anymore about this until we get town council involved?
We're talking about it, but town council has provided some information, and I apologize that my sudden absence from last meeting. I had that information for you, and my absence resulted in a continued discussion. Absent the information that we sought from town council after the first meeting. Looking just to bring that information to the board for your consideration before the discussion goes too much further with the other parties involved.
Okay.
Thank you.
Not that it's done, it would just, the
Right, no.
discussion has become more litigious
Yep.
at
And
this
we
point,
need
so
to,
there
we need to
needs to be
speak with
some.
them, yeah.
So when are we going to have an opportunity to kind of get updated on this and, you know,
After-
another 2 weeks?
After legal counsel.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it'll be after legal counsel, and I don't think it'll be another 2 weeks.
okay.
In the meantime, nothing further is being done
No,
at the property,
No.
right?
no.
Well, there's information coming back from legal counsel, but it's information that we have to discuss in non-public.
Okay.
So there's no other public update on it?
Not a public
it.
update.
That's it for now.
I mean, obviously, when the board's considering legal advice or any kind of legal information, that it's done in non-public until the board decides they might want to unseal or release something, but the initial discussions need to take place in non-public.
Exactly. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right, moving on to Town Hall roof bid specs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is the draft of bid specs that you folks looked at last meeting. And there was some discussion that I wasn't available for. So I'm bringing it back forward to help answer any further questions the board has, maybe discuss any changes or clarification, and get this put out so that we can go out to bid for it. So I did, it was relayed to me that during last meeting, there was a discussion about a sample. There is a sample right here that we have. Now, just for the benefit of the board and the public, obviously, this was a sample piece of an option. But the way that the bid was presented was to solicit products that were more period correct, error correct to this building, so that we weren't comparing like a standard running seam metal roof down a building of this era. This is designed to mimic slate.
Slate roof.
And we've seen, and I use this as an example because Wakefield recently just had their town hall done, and I had photographs of it just done this year. So that was relevant to our discussion, and I sought out this particular product so that we had a baseline. We had to figure out a baseline of what we were gonna request from the voters, where the money was gonna come from, what this might cost. So again, this is just a variation. I do know for a fact there are companies out there that offer metal shingles.
Yep.
They look like, more like, the shingle pattern, or 3-tab, or 5-tab, but they're all metal. And again, the idea would be that I don't think the public or the board would be pleased with a more traditional style metal roof on a building of this.
Standing
of this
seam.
era. Yeah. So, again, just like,
wanna look at this?
just like any other, bid process, the board reserves the right to decline or refuse any bid. And the point behind that being that if the products that are being offered, aren't something the board would consider for this building, then most certainly, those bids can be, refused at that point. You know, when we go to, bid opening and awarding at that point.
Do you know, Ryan, are there more than one company that has similar product to this?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Is there more than one company that has a product similar to this?
I'm assuming because of the fact that I reached out to a company that applies this product, but I found the specs and this information on this product online. It's a retail product, so there are other vendors and installers. I will say, I'm not, you know, obviously it's not my area of expertise, but I haven't seen this product before, so I believe it's relatively new to the market. To kind of hit that target area of more historic or older buildings, to provide a much longer lifetime of a roof product that looks more traditional like slate.
Yeah.
It does have a good slate look to it. I like the locking system it has on each end.
Do they do some sort of ceiling underlayment with that? Because I'm looking at that like vinyl siding, and vinyl siding does permit a certain amount of moisture to pass by it.
Sure, sure. So they do ice and water shield. The other thing I needed to talk to the board about was, if you see there was an addition of, a separate broke out number for the plywood sheathing.
Yep, I saw that.
I will say that this was pointed out and brought up at my meeting with the trustees of the trust funds. One of the members of the trustees suggested that we might be having problems with our shingles if the gaps between the roof slats are too wide.
Yeah.
That some of the nailing might be slipping between the slats. So it was recommended at that meeting with the trustees that they would be supportive of if we could come up with the money to actually do a fresh overlayment of plywood, 7/16 plywood, over the top of everything, and then apply new ice and water shield where necessary and the new product according to manufacturer specs at that point. But again, that's why that was added at the suggestion of the trustees, and they said there was a member of the trustees that has experience in roofing and pointed out that he believed that the gaps in the slats might be adding to the issue. It's probably not the only issue. We probably have several different issues going on, but we're gonna try to address all of them.
Yeah, and having a separate price of the 7/16 plywood on top is a good thing to have on there in case it's needed to go over the whole roof system, other than just replacing what they need.
And would we propose to require 100% coverage of the ice and water shield? You know, or normally they just do down toward the.
Yeah, no, it would be 100%.
It's in there as full.
It would be 100% covered.
Well, I would be cautious about that because some metal roof manufacturers do not want ice and water shield under the metal roofing. It's too hot.
I would say that, again, maybe we would defer to manufacturer specs,
Manufacturer
so we
specs.
don't void any warranties. That would be the key thing.
Yes.
We don't want to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be a specs.
I know that a lot of times they don't want insulation against it. I don't know about ice and water, but I know, like Brock just mentioned, some of the concern there is the metal change with temperature condenses moisture.
Yes.
And that'll drop on the roof underneath, so we don't want wet wood.
Yeah, no.
No, they make very specific underlayments for metal roofing.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
This is going to be an interesting bid.
Yeah.
with all
So
the
what the
variables.
bids-
See what
bid
comes out, what
specs
they
look
come up
good.
with.
Yeah, my concern is the way this is structured is you are gonna have, it's gonna be a dartboard. And the wall all around the dartboard.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is I'm gonna encourage, any of the bidders to provide samples.
Yes.
Because I'm interested to see what other product options are out there, cause there's a lot of them. I've already, and just talking to a few people, I've already heard about and seen samples, pictures of products that I've never seen on the residential side of things, or on town halls or municipal
They
buildings.
make panels like this, that they're also plastic. I've seen that. I've seen the ones that look like shingles, shake shingles,
Yep.
slate.
Yeah, it's gonna be a gamut, but hopefully we try to word it so that the buildup of the bid, the product may be different, but we're comparing apples to apples with what we're asking them to do for one prep and the manufacturer installation, and then it's gonna come down to what the product is they're pitching and how much it costs retail for the material. But as far as what we're asking them to do is apples to apples.
Right.
Products will differ.
And still no, on evenness with this has nailing strips on it. We need to know if the roof that's there now, if it failed because of improper nailing or nailing in between boards, if there were large gaps in between the boards or anything like that, that need to be, and that would determine whether or not it needs to be sheathed over.
Yeah, unfortunately, with a pneumatic nail gun, you don't know when you miss.
No, but they'll know when they strip it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm asking, you know, they need to look at that and what the reason was the shingles actually failed.
I might be able to send somebody up to the attic
And just look inside.
and be able to see it from the inside.
I'd like to see that, yeah. Because you should be able to see inside. Is it tongue and groove? Or is it just square butt boarding? And is there large gaps? Are there any of them broken?
It's a little bit of a jump in there, but I got a ladder in my office, so I
Okay.
can't let you borrow it. I haven't tried it yet.
I think Rick had a question.
Yes.
You know what the original roof of the town hall was?
Slate, I believe, yeah. There was leftover pieces of slate that were broken in the basement. Unless they came from another building, to the best of my knowledge, they were pieces that were left from here.
Ryan, do you know where we go out for a competitive bid here? Are we still in good shape legally to select a bidder and then negotiate with them for additional items without having the other bidders say, well, wait a minute, we
Yes.
didn't get a chance. We're okay for that.
Yeah, we can award off the initial bid specs, but any additional work or area parameters outside, because there is obviously parameters that may be discovered once they strip.
For
You
sure.
never know what you're gonna encounter, because there is some language in there about rotten boards, replacing rotten boards as needed.
Yeah.
And of course, that would be an as-needed, as-done price that could be negotiated, but the answer to your question is yes, we are within our legal right to do that.
How long ago was it that the roof that's on there now was replaced?
2014.
2014.
Not that long ago.
There was, I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but the manufacturer, I think, would have been problematic because I think they used a residential shingle and a residential method. And what we're having is that they're being ripped off at the tabs with the wind, just from this side. Obviously, there's enough building cover on the right side of the building, but we've had three other that's where the yellowing is on the ceiling. That's exactly where they're being ripped off.
Having lived with metal roofs and seeing the proximity of your abutters, are there gonna be ice rails? Because this is a pretty darn steep roof, and I would hate to lose somebody walking down Depot.
No. But by code, they have to have, by code, it has to have icebreakers all along the edges.
Those are in the bid though?
What?
Those are in the bid?
Yeah. They have to have them.
Okay. Any other questions on the bid? And I'll make a motion to accept the bid process for the Alton Town Hall new roof system.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Are we giving everybody enough time here with May 22nd?
Where are we at, looking at?
What are you saying now?
Oh, bids were due May 22nd?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah, well, this came out, was drafted, a little while ago, so I'll change that, so, we give a full 30 days before it's due to close.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Go to Roberts Cove Bridge bid specs. Seth? And obviously, some of these dates will change too, right?
I mean, I'm still for waiving the bid, the 3 bids, to stay with what we have, since we kinda messed up the last meeting and gave the guys price. And we probably won't get it done this year, if, by the time we get the bid sheets and everybody's booked up. That's my 2 cents.
So, gentlemen, I did put together the request for proposal there for a design build bridge replacement for the Roberts Cove Bridge over Beaver Brook. Following the last meeting, which I was unable to attend, I was on vacation at the time, I did speak with Mike from MAB and Associates, and he did inform me that he will not bid.
He will not bid.
He will not be bidding if it goes out to bid. He was just finishing up a bridge in Gilmington now. I believe they paved it yesterday. He has another one to do for Gilmington. He has 2 more to do for, I think it was, I forget the other town. It was another town that he works with. His hopes and intentions were to come here next. Obviously, he knew that it did have to come in front of the board before he could do anything. But that was his stance on it, is if it does go out to bid, he will not bid.
He will not bid on it. That would mean he wouldn't bid on it at all, even if it came up next year?
Correct. He only works for a select handful of communities and people, and Alton is one of the people that he likes to do work with. I worked with him previously in another town, did 3 bridges with him over there. All of them were right on the mark money-wise in 10, 12 days, fast. I've seen those bridges go through storms, beaver dam breaks, and they stayed there, so. That's my own opinion on the matter. Like I said, I did put together a RFP for the bridge, outlining the scope of work. It is kind of a unique situation where there is a freestack granite bridge that lives underneath it. The bridge deck is to be pulled out with the town to retain those granite slabs. They're being held up currently by 2x4s, and they're more of a safety hazard than anything.
Yeah.
The granite bridge abutments that are underneath it would stay, and as much of the concrete abutments that are above them would come out, because the issue with them is they're spalling. The rebar's rusting inside the concrete, and it's popping. So it's kind of the deficiencies with the bridge. So again, I did put that together for a design build, because everyone might have their own attack on it.
And nobody else is doing the bridges the way in his manner that he does his scope of work?
I haven't seen anybody do them in the way that he does them, in the speed that he does them. He uses precast bridge sections, so they're rated, they have the HL 93 weight loading in the bridge calculations. He also puts all that stuff together and sends it into the state to get a, update their records on the bridge. I have seen other people bid against him, and they're often higher. I did look at Loon Coves. The next closest one was Hanson Bridge LLC. They were $156,000 more. GW Brooks for a design build with using precast sections was $40,000 more, and their second option for a cast in place was $230,000 more. That was for Loon Cove. Loon Cove was a culvert originally, it wasn't a bridge per se. But
And this company has done, the one that you had before, did 2 bridges for us before?
Yes, they did the Loon Cove Bridge, and they also did the other bridge on Roberts
On
Cove.
Roberts Cove Road, yeah.
I think I would be open to allowing this to go without the bid process for this one, but I would want to know for future builds, is he gonna hold the same ground that we don't quote others, or ensure that we do quote anything else to multiple bidders?
It seems to be his stance as of lately. I think, not speaking for him by any means, but like I said, he only works for certain communities and certain individuals that he likes to work with.
I don't like the idea of being held to the fire to only go with him and not be able to see what other options are. Maybe they're more expensive, but maybe they're not. I think in this short term, to get this bridge done, it might make sense to bypass it. But for future bridges, I think that we should have them quoted by everybody. And I don't like the idea that this builder is saying, you either use me or I'm gone.
I can understand that.
This is kind of an unusual situation insofar as we have a supplier who is, by every measure, really quite extraordinary in terms of price and performance and schedule. But we also have a policy that says, particularly if you're expending large amounts of money, you should obtain at least 3 bids if possible. And I agree with you, I don't like the idea of, somebody saying, well, okay, if you do that, I'm out. But from a cheapskate point of view, I have a feeling if we do that and he's out, it's just gonna cost us more, and probably a good deal more. And given his performance, not only in our town, but in other towns, although admittedly, the other town performance is all based on educated hearsay, I would be inclined to go with his bid and waive the 3-bid process simply on the grounds that it's gonna give us a better bridge more quickly at less cost.
Any other comments?
I struggle with this, and as I voiced at the last meeting, this is something that we have been aware of as a town for months and months, that this is coming up, and it's like, all of a sudden, take this number or I'm walking. And you gotta, and I think we all are aware that when this goes out to bid, he probably is going to be the low bidder, or if he were to bid it. But it doesn't change the fact that as a town, we have rules, and the rules are that we go out to bid on this. So I can see that the board is kind of building a consensus here, but I'm gonna hold my ground on this one. And, could be cutting off my nose to spite my face, but I still feel the point needs to be made.
And duly noted, and I concur with you, I understand what you're saying. In this particular case, I think time is of the essence. This, I think with this gentleman and this company has done well with the town before with these bridges. I don't like the idea of waiving the bid process, and we have in the past. It's not always a good idea, but in this particular case, I don't like the idea of him not bidding, and I think that's lousy. But then on the other hand, if he's already been, basically put us on the schedule, which he did, didn't he?
It would appear that was his intentions, was once he was done with
Yeah.
the bridge in Gilmanton, he would be heading this way.
And the bridge is in disrepair now,
It is.
and that needs to be taken care of, and, I'm willing to waive the bid process in order to get this bridge done, in my opinion, and I won't do it again, in the future. But as far as for this particular bridge, I think it's a good idea to go with this system and to get it done.
think ultimately, it's on us to have fiscal responsibility for the town, and if the data via previous bids versus this bid say that this is most likely gonna be the lowest, for this, as I said before, I think we're okay with this one, but any future projects need to go to bid, and if he doesn't wanna bid them, then he's just costing himself business.
Anything else?
Inquiry, and I probably should remember this, but I don't. Past bridges that he has done for us, have we had a 3-bid process on those?
The first one for the Loon Cove Bridge, yes, it was put out to
Yeah.
bid. Yep, and he did bid, and he was the lowest.
Okay.
The board waived the second one.
Yep.
I just really don't wanna set a precedent of, we're going to forego our process because we're happy with someone,
Yep.
because eventually, that can go the wrong way.
Yes,
Understandable, yeah.
okay.
So somebody gotta make a motion, and
Yep.
I think you're gonna need a dollar amount too. Do we have a dollar?
I don't think we have the dollar amount on this.
Yeah, so the price that he had quoted was $375,000, and in my memo from the last meeting, I had asked to spend up to $4 million to cover any incidentals, unforeseen circumstances.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion to waive the bid process for the Roberts Cove Bridge replacement, to get this bridge number 193/289 over Beaver Brook in Alton for the sum of $400,000 to get this bridge replaced.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. Yes, I did.
Sorry.
Yes,
I was reading.
okay,
Thank you.
you're all set, thank you.
Thanks, Seth.
Thank you. Okay, town administrator reports.
First thing I have for the board is, looking to get a little bit of feedback. I was contacted by a resident, in the area about, the seaplane base here in Alton Bay. Apparently, and Mr. Chairman, you probably have a little bit more background than I do on this, but, apparently the town of Alton has a registered seaplane base.
Yes.
Yet we do not have a docking system or anywhere for them to stop or park or utilize our resources, yes. So.
Not anymore.
What I'm looking for is the gentleman who reached out to me is very active in the seaplane community, and he wanted to know if the town or the board would support an endeavor if the docking system was fully funded through organizations associated with seaplanes. If the board would support it, because the real big problem that, I guess, as this has been worked on over the years, is the dock has to be attached to some portion of property.
Correct.
But the only property in the bay that would be available was suggested that there is a piece of land, and I don't have the exact diameters off the top of my head, but between Harmony Park and the beach on East Side Drive. That was just an idea that was thrown out. Like I said, the individual reached out to me and asked, basically was taking the temperature. And that's all I'm doing tonight, is to take the temperature as to, is this something that the board wishes that we follow up on, pursue further, or is this idea something that the board doesn't wish to pursue anymore?
I can add a little to that.
Sure, absolutely.
At one time, Alton Bay, the seaplane base, it actually has been a seaplane base since the 1940s, mid-1940s. And way back then, they used to utilize Downing's Landing or the beach area before the whole area was repaired and because of erosion, and then the retaining wall was built, so they could no longer use it. And they used to have a dedicated dock at Downing's way back where they did seaplane rides. And that's when it became, but through the years, it's gotten worse for having any seaplanes come in to dock at all. So what there's been several different places that were suggested and brought to light, but the fishing game, and not necessarily fishing game, but Marine Patrol actually, and DES said no, in certain areas. And they didn't want to have them in those certain areas. So this would still have to be looked at anyway and approved by them, if it would be in that area, and what size and how many to accommodate. If I'm correct on that, whether it be 1 or 2 seaplanes at a time. But the area between Harmony Park and the town beach is actually an area that was used years ago. That's where they used to taxi all the way in, and they would beach. And they'd actually take out an anchor and anchor right onto the beach and get out of the plane, go have lunch or dinner and leave. I'd like to see if it could actually be done, and see if that area would work. I'd like to see it. Public input will come in a minute. In my opinion, I've worked on, with a couple of different seaplane organizations that tried to do this, and they had issues with either the town at the time, or with, like I said, DES, or insurance. But I'd like to see a little bit more information on it and see if, where it could go.
But the proposal would be that it's fully funded by this group?
Yes.
There is no
Yes.
town expense on it?
Right.
No town expense.
That's the way it was pitched to me, to bring, to take the temperature. And I will, make sure that that is emphasized through my conversations,
Yep.
that it would be a donation
Correct.
or, a fundraising effort.
It would be up to the Seaplane Association, or whoever is privately getting involved, or the Seaplane Association to fund it.
Yeah, I'd like to know more about it.
Yeah.
I would too. I think, I gotta keep in consideration too, the maintenance aspect of it, ongoing maintenance.
That would be on them.
seasonal and- Yeah.
Well, it is seasonal, obviously, but just a little note, just from past experience, most seaplane people like to fly either spring or early fall, and with the foliage and stuff like that. Usually, July and August is too much boat activity, too much boat waves. It's more dangerous for them to land and take off, so they like it when a lot of the people are gone. And that's when they get more active, before the ice in and right after ice out.
Well, certainly we're exploring, since it won't cost us anything to explore.
I agree.
And mainly, I just wanted to know, because the town would, the town's real contribution to this would be, have to be the host.
Yeah.
Meaning the property is not privately owned.
We'd have to look at the
town
design.
owns the property, so we would be the applicant on any DES applications. Not that we're paying anything for it, but we still have to actively participate.
Yeah.
So I just, that's why I thought it was important to make sure that before we went any further, talked about anything,
Yep.
that the
Okay.
board gave their consensus of support.
Are there any concerns on the insurance and liability side of having that and have it be public access beyond what a normal dock would be?
So I think there's certainly some more research in that venue that has to be done. I do think a lot of it is comparable to our risk liability for our own public docks. I would say that they probably would risk a seaplane a little higher than a boat, but they're still, we have so many boat fingers across the way that all of those versus one seaplane or another one, it probably weighs each other out, probably
Basically,
balances each other
From
out.
what I've been told, basically a seaplane, once it's on the water, it's considered a boat.
Yeah.
And it follows the boat rules for taxiing, and so that as far as liability, by the time it comes up to the dock, it's no different than a boat.
Okay. The next thing I have for you is just an informational piece from the trustees of the trust funds. I talked to the chair of the trustees this afternoon and suggested that I give the board a heads up. For a little while now, they've been meeting and exploring, and I think at one point I asked the board or talked to the board about it, but the trustees of the trust funds are going to be looking and moving to sell a piece of town land that's 52 acres off of Fort Point Road. The trustees control this piece of land through the Clough Memorial Fund. It was land that was left in a last will and trust, testament, and, there are a couple pieces of land. And, with the sale of the 52 acres, they're gonna be looking to list it with a realtor and put it out there. So obviously, before it goes public and it hits, they wanted to keep the board apprised of their activities. And this was also brought, they had asked me to bring their plans through council as well for guidance, which they had done a couple months ago. And there is a matching, like-size piece of property across the street from this 52 acres that they also are stewards of through the Clough Memorial Fund. And that piece of property, they're gonna look to donate to conservation. So they're looking to sell one piece, and again, their intention behind selling it is the principal funds will go into an investment, and that investment will or the principal will remain, and the interest will be a fund that the town can utilize for areas that are outlined in the Clough Memorial. And as interest builds, the town can expend interest along the ways, but they feel that putting it back on the tax roll and getting tax revenue and also pulling the money from the principal in a strong real estate market is what the trustees have chosen is the right move. So,
Which fund was that?
it's part of the Clough Memorial. So that was, like I said, for informational purposes and update. I have a couple other items. Mr. Shea, these are items that you had emailed me. I added them onto my report if you'd like me to go ahead and address them, unless you'd rather ask me one at a time.
No, I got a couple more, but.
Oh, okay. Mr. Shea had asked if I could touch on some updates of past items. So the first one is the intersection of Route 11 and Rand Hill Road in front of the old former JP China, now Foster's. So where that was left is the state only offered up one solution that they would consider, that they would fund, and that's a four-way stop sign. We concluded through the meetings that day, unless I misinterpreted, that we were not a fan of the four-way stop, and that the town was not gonna support that, nor did we wish them to proceed with that. So where that left us is the state, I had some more conversations with the state, and they basically said that was our offer. This is what we feel is the only thing that is going to address this situation. I threw out some other ideas that we had talked about, flashing stop signs, flashing, indicating flashing lights. They weren't having it. The way that they left it is if the town wants a flashing light back there, then the town will have to pay for it. We'll have to maintain it, and we'll have to pay the bill through the electric company. What would have to happen if the board so chooses, the way it was left. I mean, we went into winter, so it really wasn't an option at that point because we had to sink poles. So if the board wants to pursue it, we would have to contact the co-op, get them to look at some pole locations and sink poles, because there has to be a guide wire that goes diagonally across the intersection to hold that caution light again. So I am certainly at the will of the board with how you want me to proceed with that. Like I said, the conversation died after when we get to winter, and the state said, take it or leave it, stop signs it is, and there was no other option, so I can certainly.
Any of our suggestions that we made.
No, there was a lot of talk about striping.
They already made their mind up before they
They
left.
had their minds made up when they sat in front of us. They
So,
did.
And I think a four-way stop there would just create abhorrent track.
well, yeah, that would,
Yeah, that's not the
that would be
answer.
very unpopular.
That's not the answer.
While you're waiting.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's definitely not the answer.
so that's where we're at, and, the board can certainly think about that, and we can talk about it again as we move forward. I know you gotta digest that for a minute.
Well, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't at least reach out to the co-op and start getting some pricing for that option. So, I mean, we can't truly weigh that option unless we know what the cost impact is. So
I could probably get a base cost, without them designing it and going through the design fees, I could probably get a per pole cost, because I think it's roughly about 7-8 grand for a pole, for them to set a pole, last I knew. Again, I'm not gonna speculate on that, I will call them and get, but I think they'll give me a general idea that if you need 2 poles, it's gonna be
Yeah.
X amount of dollars, and then we can start with that.
At least start with that, yeah.
Am I mistaken, didn't there used to be yellow flashing lights there?
Yes. It was an overhead light.
But it was attached to the Cozy Corner building.
The state took it down, or what changed?
It was an
Well,
accident.
I think,
an accident, it was
I think there
taken
was
down.
several things that took it down.
It was taken down by accident.
It was in the wintertime and it tripped.
Yeah. But there was one that was hanging above the intersection.
Yeah, basically, the way that Bill Lambert had explained it to me afterwards is that there would probably need to be a pole near the guardrail system on Rand Hill Road, on the right-hand side when you're looking up, and then something else down below. I did take it one step further, because one of the concerns they threw right out is the poles need to be on private property, and who knows if they're gonna let us do that. Well, one of them, I did reach out to the owner of the Foster's building, and she verbally said she was supportive of a pole and doing that. She obviously prefaced that with, depending on the location and where it is, which rightfully so, because they have that new sign right there, but it's gonna have to go in that corner somewhere by River Street, yeah, River Street Road, is that what it is? It's been a while. So anyways, I will get some more information on that. The other one that, was asked of me is the porta potty issue down at Downing's Landing. As you recall, we went back and forth with Fish and Game, had to get some of the representatives involved and a local senator. We did have a sit-down with the executive director of Fish and Game, with, department heads here, Seth, and things like that. Oh, yes, that's right. The meeting went well in the sense that they would at least consider ideas. The moving of the porta potty, they're not a fan. They basically said there's no other area in the parking lot that will support the porta john. We came back and we said, well, we're more than happy to let you use the public restrooms across the street. They said, that's a little too far. And we said, it was really not that far. What if we created an access, a direct access? So the way things were left is the only thing that they would consider out of that conversation was the elimination of the porta johns, and at the town's expense, we could create a handicap access to the restrooms across the street. Then we need to make sure that our restrooms are handicap accessible. So where things were left is they want to see a plan, meaning a engineered plan, because they want to see grades, stationing, almost like a road development, but it's on the walkway that would have to come through the bushes, past the pavilion, through the guardrail and across the road. So it is doable. Seth took it further and did shoot grades. So they went out, they shot grades. It is doable. We do have some funding that we may be able to incorporate from ARPA. And the reason for that is we have funding with ARPA. We already had earmarked funding for the crosswalk signs. And as part of that crosswalk, we have to add a oversized shoulder and pave exactly where this is included. And that was part of DOT stipulations when we got the crosswalks approved. Because on the East Side Drive area, they want those 2 crosswalks condensed into one in the middle and get rid of that one that's behind the blind curve before somebody gets killed, and move it down to the other one and continue to have just one crosswalk that sort of connects with a widened paved shoulder to the stairs that go up Bay Hill Road. And then we would have to move the opening to the guardrail. Take it away, Seth.
Yeah. So as Ryan mentioned, I did go out there and shoot some grades and measure kind of the distance getting from the Downing's parking lot to our facilities there. I think the length is doable.
It's doable.
Yeah. And I feel the grade is doable too. If you look at it, standing in the parking lot, there's a mound there, But if you shoot grades on both sides, it's only like a 2-foot difference. So I think by the time you know, in that span of distance, the incline would be ADA compliant. The next real incline is directly in front of the bathhouses. If you come across the backside of the parking lot there, up into the bathhouses, that last little lift. But again, there's enough length there that it's doable to make it ADA compliant. So, yeah, as Ryan said, they want to see a plan, not me drawing on a piece of paper. So,
A napkin's not good enough?
no. But yeah, I think it is doable, and I think it is, you know, something we should pursue.
And just to clarify, because I wasn't here when this initially came up, this is because we don't want the porta potties there?
Yeah, because the only place that they will keep what is it, 3 of them now? They have a bank of 3?
Yeah,
Is it 2 or 3?
I think there's 3.
But they back the pavilion that people use for gatherings
they're-
and,
The table, the picnic
smelling.
table,
yeah.
Yeah.
and they can smell it, and they're not always cleaning it as quickly as they should. And in those hot summer months, summer days, it really reeks across the beach,
Oh, I'm sure.
so.
And our sidewalk system does kind of end right there, unfortunately. You know, it would, completing that circuit would make a nice loop in the sidewalk system, you know. And as Ryan mentioned, moving the crosswalks to a single location in the center gives better line of sight both directions. And we can put the signs up there, and people have more time to brake for pedestrians crossing.
Right.
And it would continue to the stairs that go up to Bay Hill Road.
Maybe they work with us a little bit better with parking.
Well, I will tell you that the things are moving slow, because the second aspect to this, if you recall, was you wanted me to discuss with Fish and Game about opening the boat ramp in the winter and us plowing it. So they still have a copy of our executed MOU that they have not executed or sent back
Yeah, even
in 8 months, 6 months, 7 months. Originally, they told me that the gentleman who handles that was on vacation. He was an awful long vacation. So I've reached back out again. So we were hoping that was gonna be our first step into good graces, would be the MOU to keep the boat ramp open in the winter so that it would be we could utilize it as a community to access the bay and ice fishing and everything. They are agreeable to that now, but they set some pretty stiff parameters on everything, and we're trying to comply, but it's moving pretty slow.
And they're not willing to contribute anything toward this, you know, utilizing of the public bathrooms that we already have, and any, I mean, even
That's what I was getting at.
considering their savings of not having to pay for porta johns, 3 of them for half a year, for the next 10 years.
They are brutal.
Yeah.
No,
No, they don't budge.
really, it was, the tone of the conversation, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys were in the room too, was, we don't want you to do this, but if you're gonna do it, you need to do X, Y, Z, T, W, A, and then we'll consider it at that point. So basically, it was, leading off with, we're not in agreement, we don't wanna do this. They gave us every reason why they can't move a porta-john, and why there's absolutely no other place it could possibly go.
And there is another place it could go there.
And then they
refused to
thought
do it.
that we would back down from the ADA access, because they basically said, well, you're gonna have to pay for all that. And when we didn't back down from it, because I basically reminded Seth, we have money for the crosswalk, and we could tie that all into one, because the path's gonna have to go across the crosswalk to the bathroom. And there's the 2 flashing signs that we still need to install on the bases, so it's, we talked about wrapping it into one overall project, but again, we have to design it. I have to get somebody to go out there and do drawings and shoot grades and present it to their liking, so.
Do you have a cost on that?
Not yet, no.
As an option in the green space between the parking lot and the road, could we pour a simple concrete slab that they could sit on so that the land is up to their spec for the porta potties and put them closer to Parkers? Or is that a certain amount of green space they need to maintain? You know, I'm just looking at lower cost
I
options.
think what they were talking about is all that space that they have up front, they have the, what is it, the porous paver things that have the gaps, the grid.
Yes, yes.
And that all has to do with the shoreline protection, about how much impact area there is. So they had to design that because of the shoreline parameters. And that's what they said, the minute I mentioned anything like that, was we can't touch anything on the Parker side or the water side. And then obviously on the other side, it's too steep, by the old dock side, or the, what is it, Pub 23?
Pub
Yeah.
23, yep. It's too steep on that side.
So, yeah, they pretty much ruled out every other location that we could think of.
Yeah, they're not willing to work with us at all, really.
Not on that, definitely
You
not.
know, knowing the way this seems to be going, and I just wonder, if I was a private property owner and I was next to that parking lot and I had that odor issue, I would have grounds to raise a lawsuit. You might suggest that to them, because they're depriving us of use of public land. It's probably not worth it getting into a big war, but
Closest one is Pub 23, right there.
I think he's suggesting
He's
that
saying
we talk as a town.
He says
We
you're
talk-
denying us,
Yeah.
reasonable use of our property at the pavilion due to your stinky porta potties.
Well, that's what we brought it up to them. But,
Is it likely that the ARPA funds we have would cover whatever we need to do to build that?
We, I mean, it's a possibility, because we allocated one amount for all the crosswalks to install those, the rapid flashing
Yeah.
crosswalks, and we've been doing that. That's been very slow, because we have to have excavation permits from DOT for every single one of those, so Seth's been fighting with them on getting those locations and meeting parameters.
They're the ones that want us to do it.
Right, right,
We have
and
to
then they
wait
told
and
us, so what happened with that is, we allocated money to put all those in, and then they came back and said, well, you can't have that one, you can't have that one, but you can have these ones, but one, like the one outside of Town Hall, this most important one, we have to put an island in. So that's another thing that, a parameter, that's why we haven't done this one right out in front of Town Hall, because they want, where the handicap, they want us to put an island out, just like it's in the bay, how it comes out to the ramp.
Right there at Winnie Ave.
To bring it out past the parking areas out, it's gonna make plowing Jack's not gonna like it, not at all. And then, he already told me he wasn't gonna like it, just so you know. He yelled out at me one day outside the loader and said he wouldn't like it if I put that island out there.
Okay.
Cause he can't scrape.
Okay.
But the long and the short of it is, we had allocated one full amount, thinking that was an estimate to get everything done, but they have shortened the scope and increased it in other areas, meaning East Side Drive. They want us to pave that portion coming down from the steps and relocate the crosswalk. So we pushed more money that wasn't used in other areas to that location. So the feeling is, we don't have an exact cost, but the feeling is that we still have enough funds left that we could probably make that work.
Make it work.
Depending on the asphalt cost. That asphalt went up quite a bit with the fuel costs this year, but we might be able to get there.
and do a design, and pay for design, and
Well, at least we could get the design portion done.
to get that done, at least that far, and maybe negotiate with them a little bit about the winter plowing and allowing, and see if we can't talk to them a little bit more about that.
Yeah, Seth and I, we had talked about the approach, and the approach was we thought the MOU was more testing the water, and we haven't got that back yet, so we weren't real optimistic that they would cooperate if we spent the money on a plan, because we haven't got the MOU back, and I already sent that to legal to have that reviewed, so we've already spent money on the MOU, so, pressing that right now, and hopefully, if we get the MOU back, then, I would feel a lot more comfortable jumping on a plan to engineer the rest of that.
We figured they would have at least had a rebuttal on it or something, like,
Yeah.
hey, we like this, we don't like this, but there's been
Nothing.
nothing.
Zero.
Other than that gentleman's not here right now, he's on vacation.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was,
what, 6 months ago?
Yeah, if not
If-
longer, yeah.
if not more,
Yeah.
yeah, so. I mean, because we sent this out in the wintertime I think you remember that the conversation we had about it was, it was January, February, or whatever, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So, I think they lost interest in it until snow comes again, so we're gonna
Yeah.
make them make them interested again.
Make them interested again,
Yeah.
bring them back to the table.
So, all right, moving on. The next one was the Mount Washington Dock. So we have been monitoring their site. They have not put out any new information. I will say
Thank you,
that
Seth.
the last information that we got, the position that they are taking is that the boat will still come into Alton, but it would be weather permitting this year, meaning, to us, the impression they gave us is that whatever they're working on, most likely is not gonna take place this year. But that they are still want to provide some presence in Alton, so they're gonna do it as weather permits, so that they can tie up and not worry about the boat, hitting the dock. I will say, I went down there the other day, and I don't know if it's just me, I haven't been down there in a while, but it looks like that the deck is collapsing. So I think that
Don't look in
I
good
think
shape.
we're dealing with a lot more than the pilings at this point. But if you look how it comes out as it turns that little corner to come back to shore, that's dropped. And it looks like the cribbing underneath is broken. I saw that from the road, and it looked like there was more damage, and I was wondering if something else had hit it.
Could have been more damage this past winter.
The point of it is, it really looks in rough shape. Really, a lot more than what they were representing with the broken pilings. So it sounded to me like what they're trying to have designed by their designers is an entire rehab. Because they hired a firm to design this whole thing, so, not just, I mean, you don't need a big design for just pilings. But I think
For the
they're doing
dock.
the cribbing and stuff underneath the.
So the update that we got, we were handed at our April 14th meeting, stated that they would be having updates in the coming weeks.
Right.
So it's
And
been a
they-
month.
But they haven't put any
Been
updates.
forthcoming
on it.
There hasn't
Yeah,
been-
it's been
there hasn't been
forthcoming
any other
weeks.
update.
They haven't put any updates. We can poke them again, for sure.
Yeah, let's poke them.
I'd like to poke 'em.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's poke the bear a little bit and find
This
out
is
what's
year
going
2
on.
of this, right? I mean, it's time. So,
But they did say at one point they did not intend to abandon
No,
Alton.
they were
They're not
very,
gonna abandon
very
Alton Bay.
explicit
That's what you were
about,
thinking.
about the
that's-
fact that Alton Bay was not, they had no intention of abandoning it, the location. But we can certainly,
Yeah.
reach out again.
Reach out, please.
okay, thanks.
Okay, and the last question that was posed to me was sort of an update on staffing levels. Right now, we are down a Parks and Rec assistant, we are down solid waste attendant, we are down a solid waste director, we are down heavy equipment operator 2. We are down, how many more you got down? Oh, so, the mechanics position is down. What's that? And a light equipment operator. We are down 2 firefighters. We are down 3 now? 3 cops, at the police department. And we are still down, building inspector, we are still down a planner. Trying to think, am I forgetting anybody? There's a few department heads in here, am I forgetting anybody? I think that's about it.
15?
Sounds about right, yeah.
About 15 down?
Do we have anything in the works for any of those positions on the ones we are going to refill?
Yeah, we are currently, in the hiring process for building inspector, planner. Those are coming to a close. We are currently advertising for Parks and Rec assistant. We are advertising for solid waste assistant. We are advertising for solid waste, foreman. Well, it's advertised as a director, as the old position, but, the intended part of that is filling it as a, solid waste manager, similar to a highway manager, under DPW. And those positions are in the works as far as open and collecting, interested resumes. They haven't closed yet. And
Once we reach a point of certain number of resumes, they'll come before the board.
for those positions, no, the board usually only gets involved in the hiring process for department heads. I mean, the ultimate decision, yes, but for non-department head positions, Usually the department head, and there's an interview panel that conducts the interviews, and then they bring that recommendation to the board. And the board can certainly ask any questions that you want, but we're constantly hiring, so usually the board is directly involved in department heads in the past. That's past practices.
Well, thank you, Ryan. I asked that question because I'm sure that it's important that the public, particularly the voting public, realize where we are. And when you talk about a small town like Alton being down 18 public employees, you're looking at a risky situation in more ways than one. And we really need to get this budget passed so that people that would consider working here will feel comfortable about their prospects, and people that probably are now considering leaving will feel comfortable about sticking around.
Yeah, to expand on that, Dick, I think that there's probably no question that a couple of these open positions are a direct result of the concerns over pay and the fact they haven't seen raises. I think that some of this attrition is due to that.
Agreed.
As long as you're on a roll, can I ask?
You're all set? Well, I'm done on, I got all those. Do you have, he has other
Yeah,
ones.
just one other one. Is there anything further going on with the hunt for a ladder truck?
There was one, it's constantly going on because the chief has sent a few out to look at. Last one I did send out for a board consensus. It was a good used option. Unfortunately, it was still, what, I think that last one was 1.2 million, 23, for a used ladder. I think the consensus of the board was discussing that at that juncture, which it was right at March, was probably not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
Right after we went to default. But we've gone from, there's been a couple of options that have come out, and again, it was, one was really old and one was fairly new, and it was still in the 1.2 or $3 million range. But they're still looking for that unicorn. But they're still actively looking on sites because the chief sends me stuff all the time, and the ones that I do get, I field them through the board one way or another. If we're gonna bring it up for a vote or whatnot, so.
Are there funds set aside for this purchase?
So we have funds that are set in the fire department has a healthy equipment capital reserve. And the capital reserve has, over the years, CIP has earmarked money for different engine replacements, different apparatus. But right now, I can't give you a dead-on number, but their capital reserve, I believe, was in the $1.1 million range. So that last option would have, had we been able to do it, or the timing was right, it probably would have depleted that CRF.
And if something like that came up to work and was in our price range, are there any other costs that would be incurred for it to work? You know, will it go in the fire station as it stands? Is there other challenges to housing a new piece of equipment?
Yeah, so our particular situation is unique in the sense that the station will only accommodate a certain size truck. What that truck is, that's out of my purview. But I think it has something to do with the height of the ladder, fully extended.
In the length.
Yeah, in the length, but they wouldn't be able to fit it inside if it wasn't the right one. I will say the ones that have been kind of put out there by the chief were right. They would fit.
Okay.
So what will fit and won't fit isn't like so rare that you can't find it.
Yeah.
But not every truck will, because there's a varying degree of heights of ladder trucks.
Yeah.
And sizes, but again, I'm kind of I'm spitballing here because I don't know that much about fire trucks.
But I would hope that the chief is on top of that with his selections to ensure it.
He is.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah,
our-
yeah, the stuff that he's,
Specific size
Yeah.
and load that they're looking for.
yeah, so certainly, that if it comes forward, he's, the stuff that he's proposing or looking at would bring benefits to the town, not be something that we have to leave in the parking lot.
No. Okay.
That's all I got.
Is that it?
I
Okay.
gotta ask Dick, is that it?
Well, I'm gonna move on to selectmen reports, and we'll move to Jack.
I participated in one planning board meeting. There were a couple parcels that were approved for adjustments, and I think I have little notes on it. I probably need to learn to take better notes. One of the ones was 69 Drew Hill, that passed. There was something about the boat storage, that they were reapplying for their permits, or they wanted an extension, and the general consensus was, we've already granted one extension, they're now asking for more time, and citing that, market is getting in the way of their doing it. So we're kind of waiting on a site review to evaluate if, the drainage and, soil stabilization that's there is up to par to even continue or consider moving forward. There was a request for a bond on Hilltop Estates, and that's basically it. Planning board fees update. They're trying to balance out the fees with the inflation, and things are costing more for permitting. That's all for me.
Okay. Richard?
The committees I am assigned to are still dormant for the off-season. We do plan to open the swap shop this Friday, if all goes well, and it appears that's the case. Seth and his guys have stepped forward to do some tree removal to improve the parking situation. They plan to do some top dressing at some point, but what's available now is adequate. There are indications of a few minor leaks in our structure, which is not surprising considering its age, but those leaks are repairable and are not causing us any difficulty. So unless somebody in the audience is aware of anything else, I think we're in good shape, and we'll get a bunch of good stuff and have a good time.
We had a Parks and Rec meeting. We heard everything on the meeting tonight about the wall and stuff, and that was it for that one.
I've got nothing with conservation. We got a meeting 2 nights from now, so we'll get caught up on that.
Okay. ZBA met on the 7th, and there was only 3 cases, 1 variance, 1 special exception, and 1 special exception withdrawal. I also met with the Water Bandstand Committee, and the ski show is set for August 22nd with a rain date of August 23rd. There's also going to be a fundraising evening that's going to have raffles with baskets and at Foster's Tavern on May 27th. It's for the Water Bandstand Bingo. They have their bingo, and so they'll have a raffle, and that'll be, like I said, on the 27th. And we have a cleaning date of going out there. We will be cleaning and getting it prepped for painting and anything, which would be, that'll be in very beginning of June. And that's all I have right now. Okay, we don't have any minutes. I didn't have any minutes, so to
We
approve.
Did them all last time.
Okay. Okay, consent agenda approval.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just one note on the consent agenda I'd like the board to consider. On there, the consent agenda, I realized there is a special events permit for the East Alton Parade. I don't have any concerns with that. It went on for years and years, and then it was discontinued for a little while, and they're reviving it. The one thing I noticed going through the paperwork tonight was I would recommend to the board that they approve that particular permit with the condition that they coordinate with the police department. They had it listed as absolutely no security, but being at that parade in the past, it closes down Roberts Cove Road, and the town has a fair amount of liability to close an entire road down with volunteers. It has ended bad, and I'm not suggesting that there's any particular traffic control plan like that one, but the coordination with our duty officers and the police chief is certainly warranted. And again, that's for the board's consideration.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I was unclear, by the way, on that. How long do they intend to close that road down? I don't think it was very clear.
No, so they traditionally run it, they set up, and they run it from one end of Roberts Cove
Yeah,
to the
right
other
around
end.
to the other.
And that's it. So they don't hit 28, so there's no parade permit through the state necessary. But usually when they do it, it involves a lot of the fire apparatus, and they have people walking. So when I've encountered it in the past, working for the police department, we've kind of driven in and been met with the parade with no fair warning. And the public, you'd have cars pulling off into driveways to get out of the way, things like that. It becomes chaotic. Fortunately, nobody's been seriously hurt in the past, but I don't want to see that happen. And when the last few years that they did it, I had an understanding with the people who were running it at that time, which is a different group right now of people, that they would coordinate with us and we would assist with duty officers. Not force a detail, but duty officers in the area, so there's some sort of presence, blue lights to help things out. But it's not a long parade, it's just from one end to the other, so, but it's slow, so it's probably an hour, hour and a half, maybe.
Okay. All right, then, well, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, and to also add in there for the special events application for East Alton 4th of July Parade, that they do coordinate with the police department for assistance.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm going to abstain because I live on Roberts Cove Road.
Aye. Thought you might. Okay, no request for appointments this evening?
No, sir.
Okay, public input, 5 minutes on anything government or town.
Jill Hauser, citizen at large. I'm happy to report that Girl Scout Troop 63776 has planted the zinnias at Douglas Park. The scouts are growing older each year. They're getting much more experience. It's been a lot of fun to watch them. They're now can be trusted with a hose and spraying the seeds. And I want to talk just generally, and please, I'll try to get this done before the buzzer, about the people in the town of Alton. I'm concerned about the budget. Again, I think getting the word out. So we've got a few weeks. We've got the townwide yard sale. Talk to your neighbors about what's happening. Send your friends and families, because I know you'll be dealing with the election the same day, but really talk to anyone in your networks about explaining things. We've got the 4th of July 250th coming up. We've got some Old Home Week activities. These are all opportunities to network with people, talk with people. Speaking of East Alton, we used to have a riding lawnmower rodeo. You all look like people that might have experience with riding lawnmowers. Talk to your friends, who's got a field, have a little barbecue, get together with your neighborhood, and really talk to people about what they hear, because the misperceptions that are out there are absolutely stunning, and it's heartbreaking to think that, yes, people are leaving, their jobs here because they're losing faith. The expansion of the bathroom and some crosswalks down by the bay actually sounds like a pretty nice thing that would have a positive impact on a number of people. The seaplane, maybe not so much. I don't know if the town would feel like they were personally being served by having part of already the best beach in the world, being absorbed. But anyway, I urge you to think about the folks that live in the town. Talk to as many people as you can. Take every opportunity to get to know your neighbors. If you're having a yard sale and you can share some of the proceeds with one of the charities or 501c3s in town, there are lots and lots of volunteer activities, be it the bandstand or whatever, that can benefit by what we do when we spend our time together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, Donna Richardson. Two things real quick. First one, who owns the dock that the PD and fire department boats are on?
Town.
Would it be worth looking into with the seaplane organization for some type of expansion right there?
It has been thought of before.
Okay.
But not particularly on that dock, but further down.
It seems to me that that might be a way of upgrading and maintaining our town dock that those two pieces of equipment are on by having an expansion project right there. Follow-up question to that would be, does the town own the mount dock or does the corporation? So Ryan, when you speak to the seaplane people, have them contact the mount. Maybe they could work something out right there because,
When they called, actually, that was the preface of the phone call. Hey, we understand that the Mount Washington dock is available. That was how that started, and I said, no, we don't own the dock.
we want the mount to come back in
Because of the
town.
Mount Washington dock and because of the Mount Washington, it would be problematic to have it right there.
To your earlier point, Paul, the seaplanes are pre the summer season and post
They
the
do
summer
come in
season.
summer, but just not as much.
Yeah, and that's why I say, because if the mount is only gonna be coming on Sundays, if and when it comes back to Alton again, it may represent an opportunity. We already have, put quotes around permission from, the state to have dockage there. So expanding something that's pre-existing is potentially an easier permit process than trying to find an entirely new location. And if the town already owns that dock, then it meets the need of town-owned property for where a seaplane location could go. With regard to the porta potties at the state-owned Downing's Landing, there, Seth, may be some monies available through ADA grant monies to help improve that process so that it's not entirely funded by the town through ADA access. There are a variety of organizations that are looking for places to put money so that things are more accessible for people, similar to the way that some of the playgrounds are built. Last thing, this concept, to follow up on part of Jill's point on getting information out about the budget and the budget process. While it's true not everybody has access to some of the electronic media, we do have the Baysider that people read on a regular basis and people put things in, including some of our select members who have written articles there. It might be worth having a conversation with them that when we approach a budget process, would they be willing to do a special edition that explains everything? Because that way we don't have to get into the whole thing of what the state will and won't allow on the town website. It could be ask the editor. Maybe from a town website perspective, it could be ask the board, and there could be a section that is in that to help answer the question that people say, well, I've sent emails, does the select board ever get them? Maybe it's an open thing that's on part of the website too. So we might be able to dovetail a whole bunch of things into a variety of small solutions and maybe get small situations and get bigger solutions out of them. Thank you.
Just to share and add a thought on the seaplane potential at the police and fire dock, I think another challenge there is when they replace the pylon stack for the back of the boat, I think that would very much limit access for a winged floating device to come into that dock, because it kind of pinches off the access. You know, a boat has better control to back out of there. I don't know if a plane could.
That's,
Absolutely, but we also have that same kind of situation with, if it goes over near Harmony Park, that wingspan with boats coming from the Parker side coming up, we're starting to look at how we're narrowing the channel, especially in the latter part of the summer when the water is low. The channel itself gets very narrow for a deeper hull boat.
Yeah, I'm not trying to naysay, I was just,
there's been several places looked at in the past.
Yeah.
And that is one of the places. Another one was near the community center.
Yeah.
And another one was down by the town docks.
Yeah.
And basically, both of them were refused by DES.
And DES will ultimately get the ultimate say, but anything that we can do to facilitate working with a seaplane organization to bring it into town brings more revenue to our small businesses in town. And anything that we can do to help our community keep revenue,
Yes.
keep people coming in a positive way. We don't want, you know, what do you call it, a parade of 18-wheelers every weekend, but things that we can do to help put ourselves on the mark. There's
Thank
Stacy's
you.
alarm. Thank you.
Thanks.
Kenny?
It's just so fun to be back up here and see all the smiling faces. The Bay,
Bay.
Portalettes. I mentioned this before and I talked about it before. Do we have to go further than talking with them? Do we need to go to our congressmen, state representatives, the governor, invite them all down, have them sit at the picnic table?
In August.
Because the design,
$95.
and I was here when it was presented to the town, I don't remember those portalettes being in that original design. I don't remember that being seen. So that's an after the facts. Whoever designed it, in my opinion, designed it improperly.
Sure, definitely.
What would you put a portalette up against a town beach for?
That
I'm
doesn't
sorry,
make a lot
with
of
a row
sense.
of trees in between it. But anyway, if we need to go further with it, I guess that's the question I have you and the board, because I have no problem in, you know, stepping into the governor's office or going down there requesting a meeting with him, with the state reps or anybody, because of the answers that you have received out of Fish and Game, because I received the same answers when I tried to talk to those individuals.
Sure. I
That's
will
just the
say,
way it is, whether you like it or not.
yeah, the meeting we did have in person was arranged by Executive Counselor Joe Kenny and Senator Gray. They both got involved after the last time we had this, but not to say that they may not, their continued involvement may not be necessary, because they facilitated the first meeting and it was at least fruitful to some degree. It's just there's been little to no follow-through on the other end.
Right.
So we might have to go that route again. But they jumped up and got involved to begin with, so I just want to give them credit to begin with, because honestly, we weren't even getting a call back from them until they got involved.
Right, yeah. And I think that's the only way you're gonna get a good answer out of anybody, is to step up over top of them
Yeah.
and have it come back down on top of them. Because of just the pure attitude.
Yeah. Very complacent.
And again, I'd like to see the original design, because I don't remember that being presented when they came up here to present it to the Board of Selectmen. Because I think we would have had questions at that time. What about the portalettes? How many times are they gonna be cleaned? Are they gonna be cleaned all the time? Yet the town beach is 5 feet away. You know, a picnic table is within 15 feet of your portalettes. And I've been down there at nights on the bonfires on the beach and stuff, and it's like, you can't even sit there. You gotta move away. That's one. Number two would be the Alton Youth League. They've presented you with one thing about a donation. I'm chairman of the board for the Parks and Rec Commission. I'm, you know, totally behind this, and I'm glad that they brought it forward. It's like the most phenomenal thing I've seen in the town of Alton in a whole lot of years of a individual group getting together, making a fundraiser that's so phenomenal. After that public hearing, I would ask the Board of Selectmen in some way to be able to publicly recognize the Alton Youth League on their donation, so we can get some advertisement for them in case they go for more fundraising. It would probably help them out quite a bit. You know, and years ago, we did a warrant article, $50,000 for that down there, and it passed pretty big. And maybe that's one of the things we need to look at. That is just unbelievable, $72,000. I was totally impressed. And third but final, Route 11, intersection.
Oh.
I tried everything. I tried to get them to paint double yellow lines around the corner.
Yep.
They wouldn't do it. I tried to get them to say, put it in the middle of the road, Route 11 goes to the right. Well, we don't do that. What do you mean you don't do it? I've been on 95, seen these big prints in the middle of the road, 95, this lane.
Sure.
What's an arrow in 95, or what's an arrow in Route 11? Nope, wouldn't do it. I even stopped the guys with the line painters and said, just paint it through the corner. He said he couldn't do it, he'd be in trouble.
They didn't want to hear it.
And the problem with the blinking light, I know what you're saying, but you sit back and sit down beyond Irwin, towards the bridge, and look up there. There is so much signage there. It's very confusing, just signage alone that you're looking at. So blinking light, maybe, but they had a blinking light sitting on Stockbridge Corner and 5 people died there. So did it do any good? Maybe not. Only thoughts. Thank you.
Just the comments on the porta potty stem some thought. There's a car top spot all the way at the entrance. Could they not just swap the car top spot with where the porta potties are? And put the car top parking there and the porta potties at the other end where it's already paved?
It
It's a
might
solid
be a
surface.
problem, it might be a problem with the parking, sticking out too far for the boats backing up into the. 'Cause
I don't
They have those porta potties way back.
But I think if they put them within the confines of that spot, they would fit and wouldn't take up any more than a car that would go in there, the way the spots are lined. Just a thought.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I will tell you that the way the conversation went was that, can you put them anywhere else? Anywhere. And the response, and it was a continued response, because they gave Parks and Rec the same response. There is nowhere else in that entire parking lot that we will move them, or could move them. They say they couldn't, but really what we heard was they wouldn't.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we threw out a whole bunch of different things, but it really came down to them saying absolutely, there was no moving it. So that's why we came up with the alternative of public restrooms, because they didn't give us anything to work with on options to move the porta john. So we wanted to just get rid of them altogether at that point. But
Any other comments?
Good evening, Lauren Carr. About the state property there, when that was transferred, the state still owed the taxes for the second half of the year. Unfortunately, I was on the board, and the majority of the board said, well, we'll just dismiss it. And I thought we should kept it on the books. So it's kind of funny now. Think how much interest that would have been. So that's interesting. And I was talking about the planes. The other thing about the beach was, we used to go across the beach to get on the ice years ago. And then they put up that stupid wall, as far as I'm concerned. And then that, I don't know, meat hanging thing, Kubota thing, whatever, that's right where we used to cut across, right on the beach, instead of driving down by Victoria Piers where you bottom out at the bottom. It was a nice, gentle ride onto the ice. They used to have the ice races. That's where everybody came in on the ice races. So, the last thing, you talked about the deliberative session on the 5th. Well, I have to disagree 100%. I thought it was terrible. I thought it was awful. To tell you the truth, the enthusiasm from this board, it looked like root canal day at the dentist's office. You didn't have any enthusiasm about passing that budget at all. I didn't see anybody get up. I just heard tonight how many people you're missing. Why didn't you tell the people that? You don't think that would have maybe persuaded somebody that, oh, well, maybe they do need a raise?
I think it went pretty well.
Really?
I do.
You think the board changed some people's minds? You think you put out some information like that? That information of how many employees you're talking about, 10 or 15 employees were short, and you admit it's probably the money. You didn't do it. Why didn't you bring that night? You didn't even have the numbers.
We asked the public to give their input. They did, and they were speaking in favor of the new proposed budget.
3 or 4 people got up. And I don't buy the argument about the tax rate. That's a ridiculous argument as far as I'm concerned. It depends on the evaluation of the town. It depends on the other warrant articles. It included the school. If they have a bond, it goes up and down. It depends on the federal matching programs. That argument, if anybody knows anything, they're gonna look that up and see, what is the town's rate gone up? That is not a good argument. That is not a good argument. And that included the school and the county. It didn't even include just the town. I think you people owed the public to try to explain what this was all about. And I don't think you did it. I don't think any of you got up, none of you got up and said, we're missing these employees. This is what happened. We're cutting here because of it. This is happening because of it. You didn't do any of it. There's 5 of you. None of you got up except you gave a little speech about, and it was the same thing you said when it was $1 million difference between that's exactly the same thing it was said when it was $1 million between the default and the one you proposed. Exactly the same arguments. Do you think it really went well? I don't.
It went that bad. And I can see your point, I can see your opinion, but that's not my opinion.
You know, I had to pull it out of you what the numbers were. You know, and this business about the tax rate, that's like saying, well, we're gonna get a police car, we're paying $450 a month for a police car, but we can get one for $425 a month. Well, we better get the $425. Oh, the $450 is the Dodge Charger, the Rolls Royce is the $425. Are we gonna go for the $425, the Rolls Royces? I don't think it went well. I don't think you pushed it, and I think you all want to push it, but I don't think, you know, it's great social media and everything, but when you're standing there looking people in the eye, and you don't present your arguments, didn't well go well. Thank you.
Hi, gentlemen, Kelly Sullivan. I was gonna save it for last, but I agree with Mr. Carr, and that's just being honest. I also feel, from sitting in the audience, most people had no idea why they were there. So they saw the portable LED sign that said deliberative. They saw the sign out by Hannaford's light that said special town meeting. I spoke to 4 individuals at the meeting afterwards that had no idea why they were there. They thought it was a special town meeting. They were looking for information. So they had no idea how the deliberative worked at all. I was so disillusioned, I guess, after our last town vote, going into an almost unprecedented third-year default budget. You can enlist the aid of the Secretary of State. I went to the website myself and looked at it, thinking of hosting something over the summer to inform voters of town government. You're absolutely right, Paul, and I 250% agree with you. People need to be more diligent about doing their own research. But that does not lessen the burden of the board to also bring as much information to the people as possible. Clearly, there is a huge disconnect, and I've been coming to this table for quite a few years now, just trying to bring everybody together, and we are still worlds apart. When I left that deliberative, I was very disappointed because I don't feel it changed very many people's minds, which is what I was hopeful for. So I do not think that it went as well as we thought. The number of people that showed up was because we utilized different techniques of telling people that the meeting was being held. and I guess we will see on the 6th. But after the 6th, I was really hoping to hold my comments until after the vote, because I'm really hoping that the vote goes through. Because we really need it to go through for morale, for our EMT, just to get our EMT staff, our fire personnel staff to the bare bones minimum. We need some of this monies for personnel, and I want to see that happen. Our fire department is always lacking because we are in the growing process of coming out of a volunteer department after years. The world at large, the country at large is very lacking in volunteerism, especially since COVID. We cannot keep thinking along these lines. So growing our fire department is growing pains, and we have to just work our way through. So we will have to continue to try to do better to educate the public going forward. I'm sorry. Glasses. The Washington Dock is super important to this community. At one of the last meetings, I had been to the Business Association meeting. They were very concerned about it. I do not think we're doing our due diligence if we're waiting for updates from them. I think we have to stay on them because it's important to our town. So we need to regularly poke them, even if they're not receptive, but we need to get regular updates from them. When we started discussing Downing's Landing, I was right away thinking of opening it up in the wintertime, and you touched on that. I know the state is a pain, but we really need to try to get them to open that in the wintertime. I'm not opposed to trying to update some of the bathrooms in that section there, because it's not very user-friendly right there anyway, and maybe this could be the nice little update that we do, but it would be nice if we could just quickly move the porta potties, for the season, if there was some way to do that. So I appreciate the follow-up with that, and maybe having to continue to get state reps involved. Thank you.
Richard Finnehy.
Richard?
Made a request on March 24th for some information. There are rules and regulations as to how this gets brought out. It's been quite a while.
Yep.
And I have heard basically nothing about it. I would like an update on where we stand on that. Number one, seaplane base. Did talk to, just in conversations that we have over the winter, doing the ice runway. A few years back with state, the DOT and that type of thing. And they seemed, the ones that the takeaway I got was somewhere along that causeway in front of the Alton Bay Campground Association would be an ideal spot. There's not a lot of boat traffic, there's not a lot of everything in there.
The consensus from the group, the pilot group, thought it was a little far away.
They didn't want to walk down to the bay.
Then getting over the guardrail and so on and so forth.
No, that can,
Having
well,
stairs in
that
there,
can,
but that was up to them.
right.
They were the ones that were fronting.
They were the ones that didn't want to do that.
That's right.
Right. I really don't think you have the space in the bay to do that. An airplane takes up a lot of room, we know
Well,
that.
it does. It would have to be looked at
You
and
know?
come up with a design, see what it looked like, to see if it was even feasible.
Right, you can park one, maybe two planes there. I mean, you know how we park planes. And they don't like the way we park planes.
You got that right.
But we crave them in. Let's see. You can't add on to those docks that the town has. Because the Alton Bay Campground Association has rights from the state abutting that property there. and they always have. Actually, the ski club had a right-of-way there as well, and that was given to the Alton Bay Campground Association. And they've invested quite a bit of money into it and all the rest of it, so I think that would be detrimental. We run a ski program out of there that is open to the town, if anybody cares to go down and want to get dragged around the bay. But show up early because it's a sign-up type of deal. And the only other comment I have is volunteerism is community. I know the Green Monster was built by volunteers in the first place. My cousin, for one, was a heavy volunteer into that. I think it would be a grand gesture to get volunteers to do it on their days off, to tear it down, rather than have that as a scheduled workday. As well as the road race. It was brought up that overtime in police was a cost factor as well. There's a number that was brought out, it cost $2,000 to do this. That would be a grand gesture to have volunteers, either from the police department or whatever, to volunteer for the 2 hours or whatever it is, to invest in their town, invest in their community, not just pull paychecks out of it.
Yeah, I think there is more to that than just the
Well,
cost of it.
there are other
It
things.
was personnel.
Yeah.
It was
There-
personnel,
there is
people,
part-
volunteers and personnel, and actually to assist with it.
Right.
Because the department is shorthanded.
Right, but is it, that's what I'm saying, volunteers make a community.
Well, there was volunteers that
and-
were looking forward to, people looking forward to having volunteers for Old Home Week.
Yep.
And it was lacking on that as well.
And I've talked to people that used to volunteer for that, and they just couldn't put up with the bureaucracy that went with it. If you make it hard for volunteers, they're not gonna volunteer. Just saying.
In reference to your request,
Yes.
we have a letter being drafted for you.
Okay.
And that letter will you'll be contacted tomorrow.
Okay.
And as to when it is complete, and you'll be contacted for it to pick it up.
Okay, is the date that was released to the town available? Or does anybody have that date?
Date that what?
To
That
what?
The information that I requested was supposed to be released from a private entity to the town. When was it, is the date that was requested and released available?
You'll receive a letter that's being drafted, and you'll get that, and you'll have some of your answers on that.
That would be a no?
Yeah, I'm
The
not
date-
sure
the
I
dates
follow
aren't
what you're
available.
I don't know what
asking,
you're
so-
looking for.
Yeah,
The dates that you received it.
that we received what?
The information.
The information, I requested information on the 24th.
Gentlemen, this matter's already been in front of legal counsel. You're gonna get a letter tomorrow, and you're also going to get a public release that's down in the clerk's office, and you'll get a copy of it. It's been sitting there since the day you requested it for release.
I've asked about it more than once, probably two
I
times.
understand, but it'll be clear to you at that point in time
And-
that they're not
and-
at liberty to discuss it.
And if it was there, why wasn't I said it was there? Why didn't you say it was there?
Because you're gonna get a letter of inquiry with you, for you. you're
So
gonna
it's
get
there, I
some-
can go pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah,
They'll
you're gonna call
contact you.
tomorrow. Yep.
They'll contact you.
It will be available tomorrow.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, I close the public input. Okay, I make a motion to enter into a non-public meeting per RSA 91-A:3, 2, A, B, and L. Roll call?
Wait a second.
Jack Sleeper, yes.
Dick Shea, yes.
Second.
I seconded, yeah.
Okay. Roll call?
Jack Sleeper, yes.
Still yes?
Andrew, yes.